If you want to make some fantasy picks on your favorite sports, check out Underdog Fantasy. It's all the rage, where you can choose higher or lower between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 325 times your entry. Use the code K100 at the Underdog Fantasy website, on the app, or at our personalized link, and you can receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash as well as a free pick. Underdog Fantasy offers a unique approach to fantasy sports, and it's a simple pick 'em style format. You can select players you believe will outperform expectations without the complexities of traditional daily fantasy sports. The user-friendly interface and growing community make it easy and fun to play, plus it's available in over 30 U.S. states. We will share our picks for you every week on K100 Sports. You can follow along or play against us. So use the code K100 at UnderdogFantasy.com on the app or at the link included in the show notes and receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a free pick. UnderdogFantasy.com. It's an underdog thing. All right, this first one's interesting. It's from Harry Levitt. Subject is Meltzer rankings. We spelled Meltzer. Spelled Meltzer wrong. Let's suspend this guy for a week. Harry Levitt. This might be his first email. He spelled his name wrong. Hi, guys. It's Drip jumping in. I caught your clip at the rankings that Dave put out. It's really crazy to think how WWE doesn't own the top 10 in all rankings except the tag team ranks possible. Sick and tired of people saying Ospreay's the best in the world. If he was the best, he would be drawing money. Roman draws more money just by showing up at one show, which they promote, by the way. AEW promoting is horrible, but that's for another email. While Ospreay can barely draw 2,500 fans to TV tapings. It's absurd. Anyway, I want to know what's your personal experience with Dave Meltzer and your opinions on him as an objective wrestling journalist. You think his writing is the validity AEW has left? Yeah, Dave for 5 years now is completely. He's changed a lot since AEW has come out because, and Dave actually thinks that he's not biased at all, and he thinks that people say he actually tweeted this the other day. So look up that tweet where it says that
nobody ever thinks they're biased.
Okay, but he says that people tell him that he's too hard on AEW, not hard enough on too hard on WWE, and not hard enough on AEW. He says that people actually tell them, like, well, I don't know who those people. But Dave is like a different animal because he puts out more content on a weekly basis than a lot of these dirt sheet guys combined, and has been doing so for 30 years, from every genre, Mexico, Japan. If you want to just keep up with the basics of professional wrestling, like all you really need is the Observer. And it's been like that for many, many years, right? But then what Dave did is his star ratings were like a thing, okay? And what's happened over the course of like maybe like the last 10 years is he thinks that like there's certain wrestlers that he thinks are like far more talented than the rest of the public would probably think. Like, like if you ask Dave Meltzer if you asked him what his Mount Rushmore is, the general accepted, consensus of Mount Rushmore professional wrestling is Austin, Rock, Flair, Hogan. But if you ask Dave what his Mount Rushmore is, it'd be like probably like Ospreay, Okada, Kenny Omega, and I don't know, because he just like he's very like likes Japanese wrestling. It's like I don't know. I just think Dave is.
You should ask them that on Twitter.
Dave is a terrible.
Or did he block you?
What's his? No, he doesn't block me.
You should put what is your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers? Why don't
you email him?
Right.
Say Disco has a question. What is your Mount Rushmore professional wrestling? Email that question. Say that we were trying to get because you won't come on the show, and Disco just want to know your answers. All right. Say I'd like to know your answers too.
All right.
Yeah. Because you probably would like to know his answer to it, right?
Yeah.
But bro, Dave's not hurting AEW. AEW hurts itself. Dave is trying to like do damage control for AEW. Like if anything, like people think that what Dave's reporting and then like praising AEW when they're not doing well is hurting AEW, but it's not. Like AEW, their content, Dave's reviews of their content is after it's been on TV, after we've seen it, and after the rating comes. Like Dave is not causing or lose. Like Dave has no input on who watches that show. Dave's just responsive to the show, and like what he thinks of the show is kind of like misguided, I think. Because like, dude, it's like they're barely drawing 3,000 people in their live events, and to try to see that's not hugely problematic, and they say like, well, trying to throw it back is like they got the rights to now. Everything's fine. It's like, that's absurd. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Konnan?
This guy's asking us what we think about Meltzer. He obviously doesn't know.
By the way, but I do have a previous history. I do have a previous history. He reported false information about me in the past.
Okay.
Okay, and then when I said that I was, he said Disco Inferno is telling people he's going to WWE. I literally called him up and said, I haven't told anybody that unless you're hearing. I think I may have said Konnan, Kevin Nash, or Chris Kanyon.
Right.
If you're not hearing anything from, if you're hearing stuff from me from anybody but those three people, I'm not talking to anybody else. This is back when when I'd been fired and I was in between jobs, right?
Right.
So he said he tweeted, he came back the next week after I spoke to him, said despite what Disco Inferno says, he said claim I'm still telling people I'm going to New York. After I spoke to him and said this.
Were you talking to New York at that time or no?
No, the conversations with New York were going like this. When is your deal up? Well, when is your no compete up?
Right.
I talked to Bruce Pritchard, talked to Cornette twice, and I talked to Bruce Pritchard once.
Right.
And those are my conversations. Cornette wanted to know when's your deal up? And he called me 2 months later. I said, well, it's coming up, same as like I told you last time,
Right.
And then Bruce Pritchard called me up, and I forget the details of the conversation, but I told him why I wouldn't do the job for Jackie.
Right.
Okay. And I explained because everybody had told me not to do it, and I thought it would hurt my thing, And Bruce Pritchard, somebody had told him he didn't like my answers.
Right.
But there could have been the possibility that Bruce Pritchard was reading Dave Meltzer and reading me telling people I'm coming to New York. That's a positive. That's a distinct possibility. Which could be hurting could have hurt my, could have hurt me going there, right?
Another possibility is discussing it in production with all the other guys. Hey, what do you think about Disco Inferno? We interested or not? And one of those guys could have told Dave. That's the problem.
Right.
Because it's almost like in wrestling, a lot of times you'll hear a wrestler tell another wrestler, hey, don't kayfabe, but this happened, right? And then that wrestler tells another wrestler, hey, kayfabe, but this happened.
And then it gets to the person that didn't.
And it actually gets back to the other person, and it's kind of different, you know?
Yeah.
You can't keep secrets in this business, bro,
Right.
And so you never know who he told, who was in the room. You just don't know, because there's stuff I read, and I'm like, how is that even possible that they know this?
Well, plus two, here's another thing. Okay, just think about the story that I just told you.
Right.
And Dave didn't really report a lot of. I didn't have a lot of news about me except when I got arrested. When I did my arrest, right?
Right.
But you know what's the funny thing was when I got arrested. Do you know who one of the first people I called?
No.
You would never guess this, right?
Right.
I called Bob Ryder.
Right.
Okay, because I called Bob Ryder. I told him, I go, Bob, I want you to get out the facts of what's happening to me.
Right.
Because he had the thing that says because
wrestling thing.
Because I trusted Bob.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to tell Bob. Bob's going to trust me, and I'm not. It's not propaganda. I'm just saying, hey, this will happen if you're in. I don't want any fake stories getting out, people lying about it, right? So, but think about that.
What would you call Bob? What would you call Bob's shape?
Kind of like a combination between R2D2.
Wait a minute.
And like a dwarf. Like shit. I don't. I mean, is that a kind of an accurate description? Like if you took a dwarf and R2D2, and you kind of had Bob Ryder. So yeah, but
you reminded me of a fat top.
Bob, what's funny is Bob Ryder loved us.
Right.
And it's kind of sad to see him go. Yeah. You know what's funny is I went back to TNA.
Bro, you have no idea how much he took care of me in TNA.
Oh, me too.
Big time. Yeah.
Me too. Because because we gave the guy a lot of respect and attention.
Right.
It's like, bro, how many guys?
He was a cool guy.
How many people looked at Bob Ryder as like, oh, that's Bob. Like they just.
Who's this Jay Brown, right?
Right.
Because he didn't look like much, and he was kind of quiet.
Right, but they had no clue how much power that guy had. I want to tell this story again. It's kind of a funny story, but Bob Ryder's story is that when they were doing that thing at TNA where they were having the wrestlers would come and they had like the they were doing the equivalent of Who Wants to. What are the shows? Who Wants to Be a Star? Where you have the panel, Simon.
They did like a Tough Enough. What was it called?
Tough Enough. They came.
Gut check. Right.
And Adam Pearce was one of the guys because he was like the indie bro. Adam Pearce was like one of the most respected indie guys that had never made it.
Right.
But he was the NWA champ for years. It was good, and he was just very solid worker that everybody understood. This guy needs a good guy. This guy needs to make it someday, right? So now he was going through the gut check thing at TNA, and he got everybody. Their mother thought he was going to go through, and he didn't make it. And dude, I was reading the stuff too at this time. For weeks, people were like, "How could they make a mistake on this guy?" And they had no clue. Bob Ryder told me one day, he's like, Bob Ryder put the kibosh on Adam Pearce.
Why?
And you know why?
Why?
Because he was complaining. They gave him travel. And like he wasn't working at TNA. He was just an indie guy. Everything. He called them and complained about his travel. And like just like you point out, Konnan, all this did was that goes from Bob Ryder to Jeff Jarrett. Okay, right? Hey, this guy's about his travel. And what do you think Jeff Jarrett would have said when he heard that Adam Pearce, this indie guy that was complaining about his travel? What do you think Jeff Jarrett would have said?
Let's teach him a lesson.
Bro, and that's how it used to work.
And that's why wrestlers that are listening to this show, little things like that you think the office doesn't find out, they have stooges and moles everywhere, and they ask people to report back to them. So you think you're being cute and doing like this, you're actually burning yourself. Not to mention, if there happens to be another wrestler that doesn't like you and you do something in front of him.
Yep, 100%. So that's a perfect encapsulation of like a story, like you would how it works, So, and it's kind of like in this, and it kind of sucks for Adam Pearce too.
Yeah.
That Bob. I mean, Bob was kind of being kind of petty, but Adam Pearce, they kind of like it's a
but Bob's old school. Bob's old school, so he's like he was trained, educated, whatever you want to say. That if you're not with the company and you're just a indie guy.
Yes.
Shut your mouth and know your role.
Know your role. This is a great lesson for indie workers. If you're dealing with one of the major companies, know your role and shut your mouth. And they're recruiting.
You'll go a lot further.
Yes, you go a lot further. But bro, let me tell you another story.
Because if you brag, they're gonna find out. If you complain, they're gonna find out. So the best thing is just to.
Have you heard why Camille was kind of like why she hasn't been prominent on TV anymore?
No, I thought she was pregnant or something.
Okay, well, I'd heard that she may have misrepresented herself in negotiations with Tony Khan, and he later found out about it. I'm just going to leave what the other companies wanted to pay you, or like the other company's interest and stuff that like there could have been some shenanigans going on there, playing both sides against each other,
right.
and one of the sides. She got hired, and then later on, one of the sides found out about it, and where is she now? I'm not saying it's like I was saying you can draw conclusions maybe,
right?
But these are these are things that potentially could happen.
I didn't know that.
So, all right, next is from Power.
Let me just tell you something real quick. It's a real quick thing. So I was watching WWE Rivals. You've seen that show, right?
I don't really watch it.
All right, it's really, really well done. And so they did one on Mr. T and Piper, right?
Did they really? That's
bro, and it was hilarious because they interviewed Piper like in 2011 for this, which was like 20 years after what happened with T. Bro, he just was. He would not work with him. He didn't want to like that. A guy from Hollywood beat him up, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he wasn't from the wrestling business, and he wanted to shoot on him and all this. And even 20 years later, he was still kind of bad-mouthing T. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know this. And it's just so funny how the business has changed, because he was protecting the business back then,
right,
from a guy that was coming from the outside. And now look today with a Logan Paul, or, how times and mentalities have changed. It's,
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.